Hello, YouTubers. Well, very often the theme of what I might want to talk about come from suggestions you've made about things that you would like me to talk about, so I'm always very grateful for those. And I thought on the suggestion that had been made about something that I would find a story that I had written so I could read the story and therefore develop the theme. And I put most of my stories there on the hard drive, of course, but they're much easier to read in hard print, and I put them in sort of book form, and I have one or two volumes of these. Anyway, I found the story that I thought might be suitable, but it was far too long to read. And I came across one that I had completely forgotten about, and that is the one I'm going to read to you, but I couldn't remember for the life of me why I had written it. It didn't relate to anything that I remember doing in the writing class, and then I remembered eventually that it had been inspired, or I'd made reference to a story that my young grandson wrote a long while ago, when I think he was probably about 10, and his story related to a woman who had lost her child, and she was searching for this lost child in the moors through the mist and the rain and the bogs, and he looked at the situation of the anguish that a parent would experience in such a situation, and I thought it was extraordinary, and of course it led me to think, not that I didn't already know, I suppose, but to think that there is so much more going on in a child's mind than we ever realize, and of course they probably wouldn't want to tell about it, or wouldn't have the words to articulate what they felt, but I thought it was very, very extraordinary. And there's this sort of saying, isn't there, that when I was a child I thought as a child, and now I am a man I put away these childish things, or something like that. And as an artist, well, no, I'll rephrase that, as somebody who likes visual art, you can see this in the drawings and pictures that young children, before they have been educated, produce, and it is a very good window into their mind, and I suppose psychologists can interpret all the meanings that are there. But what is interesting is that they're not depicted in a realistic way, but they portray the thoughts and emotions of the child, and I think that all art should do that. It should have passion and emotion, and I think it's a shame that the way we think as children has been educated out of us. A lot of adult artists have tried to do naive child paintings, and of course they fail because it's impossible. Our brains have been conditioned to survive in the world, and we have put aside childish things. But anyway, it's far too big a subject to develop here, and they're only my ideas anyway. 4 minutes gone already, so I must get on. Anyway, the story that I wrote was inspired by what he wrote, and perhaps mine relates more to later life, which is something which isn't very far from my thoughts constantly, and I have called it The Letter. Nurse, nurse! What's the matter now, Mary? What do you want? I want to see the chaplain. Blimey, why? Are you going to confess all your sins? It'll take you a long time. After the things you said about him, I doubt that he'll come anyway. Just ask him. What can I do for you, Mary? I'm not about to convert or confess about my crimes or pray or anything, but I want you to do something for me. I will pray for you, Mary. Well, you can do that if you want, but I want you to write a letter for me. Yes, of course, but why don't you write it yourself? I can't use my hand very well with this drip stuck in my arm, and anyway I can't spell very good. If I tell you what I want to say, you'll be able to write it so as it can be read and understood. It's very personal, and I wouldn't want anyone else to know. You're the only one I can trust. Dear Andrew, I don't know if this is your name, but that's what I called you when you were born. Yes, you are my child. I don't suppose you have been told about me, because adopted children are not always told. But I hope your parents have told you that you are adopted, or this will be more of a shock than I want it to be. But you are 18 now, and I want to tell you before it's too late. If the people here knew I had a son, they'd say I wouldn't know who the father was. But I do. I was only 17 when I had you. I worked as a cleaner in a university. Your father was a professor. So you will have genes that should make you very clever, tall and slim and very good looking. I so wish I had a picture of you now. They never let me see you when you were born. They said it was for the best. I was in no state to argue. I don't know what to tell you. You were nearly born in the doorway of Heffer's bookshop. Fortunately, someone, I never knew who, called an ambulance and took me to Addenbrooke's hospital. They were very nice to me. They cleaned me up and told me that I had a son. I asked to see you, but they sent some counsellor to see me who said something about me not having anywhere to live and being in a poor state of health, and they considered that it was in your best interest that I give you up for adoption. Well, I did, and I've lived with the guilt ever since. I can see now that it was for the best, and hope you are happy with two normal parents. I don't know whether to say I'm sorry. I'm only sorry for myself, I think. I've done so many bad things, and you wouldn't want me for a mother. I wish I hadn't done so many bad things, but there are so few ways to survive on the streets. They're quite kind to me here, in their way, and the chaplain is writing this letter for me. He says he'll try to find out where you are, but he can't guarantee it, so I will never know if you get this letter. But I feel better for telling someone. Please forgive me. I'll do my best, Mary, but you know it's going to be difficult. Well, that's all you can do. I feel better for telling. I hope you won't tell anyone else. We don't tell anything to anyone about what we hear in confessional prayers. I wasn't praying. If you say so, Mary, but I'm sure it will be heard and you will receive absolution. Who is that dishy-looking young man talking to the chaplain at Mary's funeral? I don't know. The chaplain said it was someone who knew her. Looked more like a college type to me. Don't know how he could have known Mary. Didn't look like a junkie. So, there we are. It's my sort of little imagined situation inspired by this story that my grandson wrote. He'll be quite annoyed if he knows that I have told this to the world, but since they don't watch YouTube, it's very unlikely they will. 9 minutes have gone, so I must leave you, and I'll play myself out with a bit of blues music, a bit like a vaudeville artist playing himself off the stage, which I hope you'll enjoy, but there's nothing after it, so if it isn't your type of music or music that you don't enjoy, then obviously you can click the button, stop button now. But I hope to see you again very soon, and until then, goodbye.
What we had. My mama had them, and her mother had them, and people now I've got them too. Lord, 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 I've got something you can't learn in school. That's why I know I was born with them, because you can't learn the blues in school. Now when I'm sad and lonesome, or when I've got trouble, even when I'm happy too, Lord, 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 all of a sudden I find myself just singing the blues, just singing the blues. That's why I know I was born with them, because you don't learn the blues in school. Now Bessie Smith, she had them. Big Bill, he had them. And Leroy Clark, he had them too. Lord, 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 feel so happy every time I hear them sing the blues. Because I know what they mean. And you can't learn the blues in school. No.